News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. And before I go to my buddy, I was really going in depth during the news, talking to Facebook Live listeners on Facebook. I do this every night, usually from 8 to 9 live. And tonight we're going extra long. And it's a lot of fun. And it's a whole new dynamic to interact with you there while you're watching me and listening. But I was telling them that what I want to tell you before we go back to my second part with Eric Erickson, my friend. What I wanted to tell you is a few things. And one is that he used to fill in for me regularly in Georgia for about a year. We became friends. He was a city council member in Middle Georgia, where I was at the time, and this is when Tea Parties were a big thing. I went to a very massive Tea Party and was one of the featured speakers up on stage 14 years ago when I was brought here to Cumulus Media, but I was brought here as the afternoon talk show host on our sister station, which is 10 feet from me right now, KLF, 570 KLF. So I was hired to do afternoons, and I did that for 2 years, and then I got a promotion to come to WBAP, where it's an even bigger stage, much bigger stage. But when I was at KLF that first year, I was in front of, what do they call it, the Air Hog Stadium or whatever it was in Grand Prairie? A concert venue, and I assume the minor league team, Air Hogs, is still playing there. I think that's what they were called. But we did it at that stadium, and I spoke in front of probably between 6,000 and 10,000 people, which is pretty awesome. And then the following year, I spoke at the Fort Worth, I think it was the Coliseum, and which Dickies Arena has now taken over for. And I spoke in front of, honestly, 10,000 to 15,000 amazing people for that Tea Party. And Gabrielle, what's her name? Very well-known conservative former Muslim lady, I believe. Gabrielle, you'll know who she is. I can't remember it. I'll mention it. But anyway, Eric... I recruited him to speak at my first Tea Party I put together with my wife. It was a massive success. I emceed it and spoke at it, but Eric was my featured speaker. And so I didn't even follow him online or anything or even know about him. We had coffee together for the first time, and he told me he was a writer. I'd never heard of the guy. But once I came here about 5-6 years ago, I started checking out reading his daily show notes and his writings, and the man is profoundly amazing at his writing, and he makes a lot of great statements and a lot of notations that I will quote on my show. Rush did it all the time for years, and so that's the privilege of my friend Eric Erickson and the special long-time relationship we've had. And so he joins us again tonight, and he's now a syndicated radio host as well. And growing very much at that. Let's go to the second part with my interview with my friend Eric Erickson, and you could check him out. His handle on Twitter and what's the other one? Instagram is EW Erickson, and it's spelled Eric with the CK and Erickson with the CK. Kind of funny, the same spelling for the first and last name. And he's the only one I pay to have a subscription to, and it's worth every penny. You don't have to. I'll share what is worthy with you every night. All right, let's go to part two with Eric Erickson on News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 90. What's our next? 93.3. Here's Eric joining us again on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Eric Erickson. Follow him on Twitter at Eric Erickson, at Eric Erickson, CK on the Eric and CK on the Erickson, and at ericerickson.com, syndicated radio host and prolific and very, very good blogger. Follow him. Do you still have The Resurgent, your website, up?
No, but I've just been Substack, and it's for shorthand and character spaces, it's EW Erickson everywhere.
There you go.
Substack, EW Erickson
Thank
on
you.
Twitter, and yes, Eric Erickson. Very confusing. It's also ericerickson.com, but you can go to ewerickson.com too.
There we go. Okay, I love what you said about the president possibly being on drugs. Executive producer Elaine here at KTSA talks about her mom with dementia in the last years before she passed, and sundowning, which is where in those last couple hours they start getting angry. Did you feed me? Did you bathe me? And they have to be given risperidone when they go manic and trazodone. Tell me what you think, which drugs the president was on, because he certainly had to be something to be that charged at that point.
Was it a B12 shot? Was it lots of caffeine? Or maybe it wasn't Hunter Biden's cocaine in the White House after all? Look, honestly, and I don't mean to be flippant in the statement, but Joe Biden is a man who by 4 p.m. becomes a human Roomba and can't figure out how to get off stage. He just bounces back and forth. To get on stage and have that much energy last night, they knew they had to overcome the perception. So they had to have given him something to hop him up to be that with it at that time of day. Joe Biden goes to bed at like 8 p.m. at night. So they did something. The problem is it's not sustainable. He can do a State of the Union address like that, and then for the next week, he's either going to be off the stage, you're not going to see him, or he's going to be stumbling and bumbling again, probably in excess, and that's not going to help his cause. You can't take one State of the Union and replicate that every single day. Either he's going to overdose or he's going to crash.
Eric, I have a couple of quick questions. Can you hold and we finish off here in a minute?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Eric. All right, Eric Erickson, follow him on Substack, and it's EW Erickson on Twitter, Instagram, and also on Substack. So check him out. I'm telling you, only guy I follow and subscribe to and read him every day. Okay, Eric, and he's the only guy I follow and pay for a subscription to because he's darn worth it.
I appreciate it. I could comp you.
You could what? Yes, good. Go ahead. Do it.
I will do that.
It's worth it, and because it's that good. And I plug you a lot on my show at WBAP in Dallas a lot. So because you're just that good. So, Laken Riley, Joe Biden called her twice. Now, I have been, folks have been asking about USC Trojans head coach Laken Riley. Apparently, Joe said last night that he was murdered by an illegal in Georgia. Maybe he was you're in Georgia, you're in Atlanta, in Macon, and you're an Atlanta, Macon guy. You are the Georgia authority. You're also a lawyer, which we're going to get into in a minute with this case. But, people have been asking, is there a GoFundMe for head coach Laken Riley's family at USC? And does USC actually play UGA? Was he jogging there? What's going on?
Yeah, listen, they're looking for a white bulldog with blood on his hands, apparently. Listen, I'm not a huge Marjorie Taylor Greene fan,
right.
But she threw Joe Biden off his game. And drew a little blood with throwing him off his game. So he mentions Laken Riley, though he gets the name wrong. Says killed by an illegal, which had to offend Democrats who don't like to use the term. And here's their president using it. But then tries to just make it how many other people. And he tried to make her a statistic. Here's the problem for Joe Biden. Georgia has 16 electoral college votes. He's already behind in the polling here. An illegal alien who came across the border during his tenure killed a college student. I would not be surprised if that act, even now, 8 months from now, takes Georgia off the board for him. There goes 16 electoral college votes. And then you've got in Michigan, you've got the problems up there with, you got first the Hamas crowd, but he's devastating the auto industry with this push for EVs. There's 15 electoral college votes. Suddenly he's 31 electoral college votes off the board among the swing states. And then you got North Carolina as well. These things matter more than a lot of people want to think they do. And the fact that he was bullied into saying Laken Riley's name and got it wrong speaks volumes about where his brain is on this issue.
Yes. Tell me, you are a lawyer. You are an insider for all things Georgia, along with all things politics nationally and in Georgia. Tell me what we need to know in a quick nutshell, since we only have 2 minutes left, and the time with you is important to me. I have some other questions, but what do we need to know about the Laken Riley case that we might not know about?
It's a shame that Deborah Gonzalez, the district attorney in Athens, Clarke County, she was an entertainment lawyer. She has lost 14 murder cases in a row, so they've had to bring in a special prosecutor from outside the county to prosecute this one so she doesn't screw it up. She is in danger of losing her job, but she and the county declared themselves a sanctuary county in defiance of state law, and this guy, they never even notified Immigration and Customs that he had been arrested for shoplifting and was had a bench warrant out for him, so he was able to roam free, and of course ultimately took Laken Riley's life.
We have 45 seconds. Katie Britt response, disaster overacting, yes or no?
Yes, overacting. And who the heck puts a Republican woman from Alabama in a kitchen during the IVF debate as the optics were horrible?
Exactly. The last one is Black and Hispanics. Will they come home to the Democrat Party? Rui Teixeira, the liberal patriot, you blogged about him and shared one of his columns about how bad it is for right now for the Dems. We got 20 seconds.
No, some will, but not enough. I mean, this is Donald Trump's race to lose. He might lose it, but right now he's got the advantage.
That's great to know for all of us. All right, Eric Erickson, follow him on Substack, on Twitter, on Instagram, and check out his radio show, E.W. Erickson, at E.W. Erickson. Thanks, brother. I appreciate you very much.
Thank you so much. Good to hear you.
All right, man. We'll be listening to your show later. Long time since we've talked on the air, and we'll do more frequently. So, in fact, we're going to be swapping notes on his home studio versus mine and some tips. He's a little farther along on his home studio than I am as far as the cameras and everything. All right, so coming up next, I want to get into the illegal invasion. I want to get into Laken Riley's mother lashing out this afternoon at Joe Biden. Amazing, and I think it's a taste of what's to come, as well as the illegal migrant charged with Laken Riley's murder easily entered the United States. I'll tell you also that he does have ties to a notorious gang that I've mentioned many times. I'll tell you which one it is. And Dems attacking Joe for using the term illegal. He gets asked about that today on the tarmac. I'll play that for you. A.G. Paxton, who's been on this show several times, is Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, targeting El Paso charity that helps illegals. Don't miss this next.
It's not about him. It's not about me. I'd be a winner. Not really. Laken Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal. That's right. But how many of thousands of people being killed by illegals? To her parents, I say, my heart goes out to you, having lost children myself. I understand. But look, if we change the dynamic at the border, people pay these smugglers $8,000 to get across the border because they know if they get by and let into the country, it's 6 to 8 years before they have a hearing. And it's worth taking the chance of the $8,000. But if it's only 6 weeks, the idea is it's highly unlikely that people will pay that money and come all that way, knowing that they'll be able to be kicked out quickly.
That was profound. At least he got her name right. Laken Riley, right? Border is a very serious issue. It's the number one issue in Virginia and mostly across the board in all states. Well, let's hear what fake news MSNBC says about it.
If you look at some of these exit polls, I mean, I live in Virginia. Immigration was the number one issue. I mean, again, these could change in Virginia.
Well, Virginia does have a border with West Virginia. Very contested area.
Build a wall. Like, what?
I wonder if they would laugh if their next door neighbor or their dear friend's daughter was raped in Virginia, like a 14-year-old was at knife point. And there was another 14-year-old who was raped and sexually abducted, I believe, into Virginia. Or there was another one that came up today. I heard Dana Perino talking about a new one. Laken Riley's mom blasted Joe Biden. And I think this is the very beginning of what's coming. And that is that she and her husband, being evangelicals, will be attacking Joe Biden in political ads and perhaps a press conference, and will be using their quotes and saying and doing commercials for political ads to ruin his chances in supporting Donald J. Trump. And here's your first proof of that. Mom's lashes out. She slammed President Biden for saying her daughter's name incorrectly during the speech of State of the Union Thursday night, Fox News reports. And here's what she said. She lashed out and said this: Biden does not even know, all caps, my child's name. It's pathetic! Exclamation mark. You are, if you're going to say her name, and even when forced to do so, at least say the right name, said Allison Phillips, her mother, in a Facebook response after someone told her that he called her Lincoln, and then he was trying to minimize her murder by invoking his son's Beau's deaths. So, and Trump did talk to the family. He said they're incredible people. I spoke to her parents. This was last week, and they are devastated beyond belief. She was so beautiful in so many ways. That's Joe Biden, and that's what he's done. He won't even say her name right because he doesn't. He calls him a man. She calls him a man, Lincoln. And I got more on how the illegal that is accused of murdering Laken Riley, one of Joe's illegals, is involved in a violent gang. I'll be telling you about that. Also, how Ken Paxton is going after what's called the Annunciation House, an NGO not-for-profit that helps finish the job of smuggling illegals, which is totally unbiblical. I want to hear from you right now on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. You should make that a preset, by the way. And I want to hear from you at 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227, what you think about this, all of it, because I think it's very profound. Do you feel that this will be devastating to the president and his party in this new attack from Laken Riley's family, the first one already? Do you think Laken Riley's family will end up going public to attack the policies that brought her alleged killer into America, as I feel that they will be doing in a month or two or three when they're ready? And will this make a huge impact, do you think, on the fight against this illegal invasion? I think it's more powerful than anything because every parent knows her name for the most part in this country and is outraged and disgusted with what Joe did to Laken Riley. And do you think calling Biden's illegals is okay because he's getting attacked by the left? Or should the president walk it back? I've got audio of that when he's asked about that on the tarmac coming up next. And are you surprised that Laken Riley's alleged murderer is a member of the horrific sick gang called Tren de Aragua from Venezuela? I'll get more details on that to you. And do you support Ken Paxton going after NGOs who are encouraging illegal immigration and finish that last step on their invasion into the U.S.? He is. I'll tell you about that too. Call in now, 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Chime in right now. Want to hear from you. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. Four lines open at 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Laken Riley, her mother, lashes out at Biden. If you're going to say her name, say it even when you're forced to, and say it even when you're forced to. Say it right. This is just the beginning. She is going to... I think she's going to use, and her husband are probably going to use their faces, their images, and their video of them lashing out at Joe Biden for what he did, not in a bitter, crazy, leftist, loony Cindy Sheehan way, or rightist loony, I guess, Cindy Sheehan way, even though she's a leftist. But in a way that says, you murdered my daughter, Joe Biden. Your policies murdered my daughter. And you insulted us further when you couldn't say her name. You called her Laken Riley as if she's the USC Trojans head coach, Laken Riley. And it's disgusting. So I want your thoughts on that. And also, I just learned this afternoon from New York Post, the illegal Venezuelan migrant that's accused of murdering Laken Riley, Jose Ibarra, listen to this. He's also a member of the deadly Tren de Aragua gang. internal Homeland Security documents seen by the Post say. He was arrested for illegally coming in 2022 in El Paso. 20 hours after 24 hours in custody, released on parole, given free reign in the U.S. Went to New York, stole, endangered a child, and then came to Georgia in Athens, where he got busted for several things, and his brother did. And then he did what Tren de Aragua does. They murder, rape, kill, and steal and destroy. Tren de Aragua is the most notorious gang from Venezuela. They have their massive stronghold in Venezuela, massive stronghold in Colombia, and in Ecuador. These are nothing to be trifled with, and they put our gangland people in America to shame. We are low-hanging fruit to them. They're the ones robbing and stealing and beating up and even shooting at and hitting civilians in Times Square and in Macy's all over, assaulting employees who stopped them, beating the hell out of them, beating up our cops. They murdered, kidnapped, and home invasioned in Miami. FBI and Homeland Security say they're established already now in Chicago and in New York, and they're working in New York with MS-13, who used to be the worst gang. And also, Bloomberg News, liberal Bloomberg News reported that the violence, I've shared this with you, but I want to really make sure you know this one. Violent crime and murder has shot down to the lowest level in 21 years there. And they said it's because all the Venezuelan Tren de Aragua types that were filled in the jails and all the criminals all left because this collapsed Marxist leftist state under a false dictator, who's a false leader, a dictator who's a fake president. He stole the legitimacy from Nicolas Maduro, and that, of course, is the fake president who's installed right now. Nicolas Maduro is the he's the dictator. I'm sorry. Juan Guaido is the official winner, according to us and many governments all over the world. But that's what happens when you have a dictator, Marxist, communist. All right. And also, real quickly, before we go to Bell in Pottsboro, he is going to tell us about his thoughts on Biden, and he's got an interesting take on that. I'm very much look forward to hearing. Plus your take on this with the illegals, and also your thoughts on Ken Paxton is targeting an El Paso charity that helps illegals. He opens a new front in the border fight. He's got a lawsuit he filed for the state of Texas against the Annunciation House because they facilitate illegal immigrations by being a magnet for and caring for illegals, being that last step on the road as criminal invader smugglers and enablers. Isn't it funny that they arrest and put people in jail for 10 plus years that are 17, 18, 25, 50 in Texas citizens who help smuggle the illegals over, right? But when an NGO or a church does it, which is unbiblical, they're rewarded. I support targeting them and suing them and shutting them down with the full force of our AG, Ken Paxton. Do you feel this, what Laken Riley's mom did, will be devastating, and what she will do for I think to make sure Biden's out in the fall will be devastating to him and his campaign? Do you think the family will end up going public and being in ads attacking Joe for what he did? And will that be very powerful and effective, as I think it will be, as I do think? And then lastly, do you think calling Biden's illegals is okay? The left is attacking him for that. And are you surprised that Laken Riley's alleged murderer is a member now, we know, of Tren de Aragua? They behead prostitutes that compete with their prostitutes. Okay? They're the ones dragging that woman and women on the streets with their purses at 20 miles an hour on a scooter and slamming them into their shins going 20 miles an hour, like sideways, into a, what's that called, parking meter. They're the ones stealing hundreds of phones in New York City and emptying their bank accounts through the phones and credit cards and buying pools and luxury items for them and their gangbanger friends in Venezuela, Ecuador, and such. So we need to hear from you, man. I want to hear from you right now. I look forward to your call. Chime in now, 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Bill in Pottsboro, you are live on News Talk 550 KTSA and FM 107.1. Hello, Bill.
Hey, how you doing? Yeah,
Good,
that him with Biden last night calling him illegal was on purpose. That was a total head fake. That was absolutely to get Republicans charged and going, oh, at least he's calling them illegals. That was a head fake to all the Nikki Haley people.
Yes,
that he's trying to bring over and all that garbage.
You know what? I thought you were going a different direction, but that is exactly what he did. He said illegals on the fly. It wasn't scripted, as you know. It wasn't planned. He will never say that otherwise. But he's like, I'm going to nail these people and show them I'm just like them, even though I'm not, to look vicious against illegals and to show I'm trying to get this bill passed that's the most stringent ever, which is BS. It's horrible. And so he says illegal. And then he says it again, yeah. So it was a head fake, meaning he was putting this out there as a lure to bring Haley and milquetoast Republicans into his side to vote for him, thinking he'll be just as tough on the border that he has destroyed in 3.5 years, and shows no signs of abating that at all. He's a liar on that. What do you say to that? You agree with me?
That's exactly what he's doing. He did that. He said those words to make everybody think that he is being tough, and he's never been tough, and he's never going to be tough.
Any person that doesn't have their head up their butt knows that. Go ahead, sir. Finish. You're doing a great job.
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly what he's doing. It's literally just it's the same thing they all do. They sit there and he sits there and says he's tough on immigration. He's going to do this. He's helping the middle class. Blah blah blah. And then he says something stupid like, "Well, if you get rid of the price of food and the price of fuel and the price of housing, inflation's not that bad." I mean, just stupid comments, but things that make you think that's what he believes. He's trying to play both sides, and it's never worked, except for the fact that he's there. He's in office.
Yeah, he thinks we're stupid enough for him to say that and go, "Oh, he is tough. Wow," as if we have had our head up our butts for 3 years and 3.5 years. Now, are you cool with targeting the charity in El Paso that Ken Paxton's going after and suing because they're the last leg on smuggling the illegals into our country and taking care of them and sending them off with cash and bringing them to wherever they want to? Are you cool with us prosecuting them or suing them and going after them?
Oh my gosh, we need to do that, and we need to sue them for millions and millions of dollars.
Yes.
They sued Donald Trump for a crime that cost nobody anything. Nobody's mad except for the politicians, and so why can we not take these NGOs' money? Let's sue these people but by the way, it's our money. The government's handing the NGOs the money, so yes, let's sue them into oblivion and take that money and say, hey, you need to cover some compensation for all the crime and all the garbage that's been going on that you have been supporting. Absolutely.
Amen. Bill, great call. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. I want to hear from you right now. Do you feel that Laken Riley's family will do more lashing out at Joe Biden as they just did in the past 24 hours after the speech and the misnaming her and everything? And do you feel they'll be jumping in and doing a lot of political ads and speeches and stuff, at least when they're ready to share this about why we need to have Trump and not Biden? Trump already talked to the family 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago. You know that? Biden hasn't called him. He never will. And he doesn't know her name. That's how Mom lashed out at him. So I got a little bit more on that. 2 Americans arrested for smuggling and bringing in some very serious illegals. And then I want to get into this. We'll get right in this in a second. Terror at the Fort Worth Zoo. Have you heard about this? A gorilla. They're chasing the zookeepers, and it is terrifying. And you have to hear the audio of people praying for them, and it's very scary. We're going to talk about animals and the lashing out of them at humans in multiple cases over the years as well in the next segment. Next on Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. Y'all, absolutely do that. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. 9227. And I want to get to, in just a second, this video that is so compelling that I have of a gorilla chasing a zookeeper, actually two of them, and it's terrifying. We'll get to that in just a second. But first, I wanted to just give a teeny bit more about what Ken Paxton's doing to go after these illegals and why it is absolutely critical that this get done. I couldn't agree with him more. So we'll do both of those coming up next in just a second. I wanted to go first to the Ken Paxton, our Attorney General, going after Annunciation House, which is, by the way, a part of the Catholic Archdiocese of El Paso. They are illegal smugglers, sex trafficking assisters, and Tren de Aragua ministering to people who will murder us and rape us and rob us and hurt us or kill us and rape women and put them on the streets for prostitution and behead their prostitutes that compete with their prostitutes. By providing the shelter and other services, it's breaking state laws against harboring and transporting illegals, says Ken Paxton, which is why we're going after them as a state, and I think that's great. Every one of them, go after them. It's absolutely terrifying. It should send a chill down the back of every person in our country, said liberal Democrat, pro-illegal Verona Escobar from El Paso. She and Beto are attached to the hip in that garbage. Beto Hussein O'Rourke, the cultural appropriator who has been rejected 3 times in the great state of Texas and went where he belongs, to Chicago, to teach somehow at the University of Chicago, when all he did when he was at Columbia College in New York and graduated was be a manny, live in a rich man's house for free, that he was being a manny at, and smoke a lot of weed. So that's he and Barry Hussein Obama are 2 characters, right, from the same stone. And he, of course, Beto Hussein O'Rourke, the cultural appropriator, wants to take away our AR-15s. He led me to really speed up my purchase of an AR-15 with hundreds of rounds and several nice 30-round holding magazines, several, like 4 or 5, locked and loaded already. So well done, Beto. Thank you for pushing me to get one sooner and get one in a bigger and better way. Now, the Annunciation House has gotten $300,000 in 2022 from FEMA, and reimburses costs to feed and house the illegals that Joe Biden has invading our country. And their mission is to, quote, is rooted in the gospel. This is false. It is not rooted in the gospel. The gospel is clear that you must obey the laws of the government. God puts the government in and gives the government a sword for a reason, is the exact quote. Read Romans 13, first chapter, and it says everything. And you can see this is a lie. This is a false doctrine. This is not in the Bible, and it's not rooted in the gospel. And these NGOs and churches should be shut down that are being this last smuggling step for these illegals. Catholic commitment to the poor they talk about. How about you help the poor in America? How about you help us? And stop voting for Joe Biden, who supports murdering all babies and everything for any reason, including inconvenience. They call them refugees. No, some of them are terrorists. Some of them are Tren de Aragua members. Some of them lie and say this little girl is with me as my daughter, and instead they're raping the daughter and sex trafficking them. That just happened in Ohio. The illegal pimped out within days, vouched for the kid, said it was his daughter, and then had her in Ohio being pimped out and sexually trafficked as a child. And there could be a good chance that this fake church, this fake ministry, helped that man to rape the girl and pimp out the girl all over the country with beds on the ground that they're being forced into raping, being raped 20 times a day, 10 times a day, regularly. And there they are saying, rape away, it's the gospel, here's food, here's a magnet to come here, here's shelter, here's money for a bus, go rape this kid and bring that kid and get raped by hundreds of Hispanic, white, black, Asian people that are sexual, criminal, child molesters, and rapists. Let these kids get raped. It's in the Bible. That's what they're saying. That's what I'm hearing them say. Number two Americans arrested for illegally crossing the border into New Mexico after fleeing Texas, where they were wanted for murder and re-entering the country on a migrant route, the illegal migrant route. So these are the people that can come and go as they please successfully with the help of these NGOs and the Joe Biden and Democrat Party, who love violent, wicked illegals to just come here by the millions and replace us, dilute our population in the census, and hurt the voting patterns, and have already helped get the population that's greater than a population that's greater than more than 36 of our states in America. Only 14 states have more of a population than Joe has brought in the past 3.25 years. This is a massive invasion of criminals, rapists, ne'er-do-wells, people that want to live off nothing, don't have our values, don't know anything about our country or our Constitution, don't care. Joe wants a new, massive goon squad of illegal to turn this country into a socialist, government-run country, period. Now, I will get to the gorilla going nuts. You're going to hear very scary audio and hear a very scary story. And I couldn't believe this happened in Fort Worth Zoo, chasing after and terrorizing. Do you know what a gorilla can do with its bare hands? I mean, it's superhuman strength. It's terrifying if they turn on you. And they did for a while. And these zookeepers freaked out, ran, and were hiding. It's unbelievable in front of all these people. So we'll talk about that next. Animals being animals at zoos, and is it wrong to keep them there? And some of the worst animal stories you've heard in the zoo, scary ones. Next on the Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. 800-288-WBAP is our number.